base stuff. More missed. If she doesn't go core, I think she'll be more missed than last league's 5k. Now we just gotta clean up. Da, da, da. Nice and clean. Xana's mom, yeah. If you do profile, you can see my current character at any point. Ooh, we actually got a Watcher's Eye. And an Indigon. Is it gonna be shit though? Yes. Yes it is. What's up YouTube? I hope you like that teaser of all the endgame content on this character, but this is my low-life Righteous Fire Guardian, TheSafestLemon. It's currently level 95 and 59%. I've just been kind of doing endgame content lately. This is my go-to Uber Lab, Uber Elder, Shaper, Guardians, anything endgame. This character can just AFK it. It's pretty great. So, the Ascendency, we are a Guardian for a lot of reasons, mainly for the ridiculous amount of life regen that you get, and a lot of curse effect, because we are low life. So, first one, we go for Time of Need. Gives us life regen, and removes ailments and curses from us every 5 seconds. So this 30% of max life over 1 second is just stupid. It's a huge amount of burst regen, but it averages out to about 6% total life regen, which is a lot. After that, there's like, you can go either way. I go for Radiant Faith next. Gives you armor equal to your reserved life to you and nearby allies, and then gives you energy shield equal to 50% of your reserved mana, right? So I'm getting a lot of flat armor just by existing, and a lot of extra ES just by reserving my mana, right? Then we go for Unwavering Faith. It gives you Fizz mitigation per aura and max life regen per aura, which is pretty good because I don't even know how many. I have all 3 purities plus discipline plus vitality. Lots of stuff, right? And then after that we go for the Bastion of Hope. This gives us a block chance cycle thing. Or if I just sit here and look at my block chance at 27, 75. It's just like a rotating thing. It's kind of gross. You also get a chance to block and spell block if you attack or cast recently. So if shield charge, I get 10% more block. I'll be running around at 37% block. And if I cast a spell, I get that 10% spell block as well. It's kind of dumb. So I combine that with a Ruby's Concoction to just have lots of block all the time. It's really gross defensive ascendancy. But the skill tree. So we are low life, right? And we're also converting all of our life regen on the tree into energy shield regen. So we got a couple keystones that are really important here. Equilibrium, this gives us damage. We use Orb of Storms for lightning damage, and our shield charge has a little bit of cold damage on it. This gives enemies negative 50% fire resistances for our Scorching Ray and our Righteous Fire, so they take a lot more damage. We have Elemental Overload. If we've crit in the last 8 seconds, we get 40% more elemental damage. This scales your Righteous Fire, it scales your Scorching Ray. Again, great. We just use Orb of Storms to keep that up all the time because I have a link to increase crits. We have Zealots Oath. This converts all of our life regen to ES. This is like, if you don't have this, you get no ES regen and you'll just die to your own RF, right? And then we have Pain Attunement. This gives us 30% more spell damage while on low life. Low life is 35% or less of your life, and since I have it all reserved, my Scorching Ray gets that 35% more damage multiplier, which is pretty good. That's all the keystones, so we'll just kind of do a quick pathing through the tree. We grab a lot of ES, a lot of life regen, even more life regen here. I'm using an energy from within to convert this node to ES and this node to ES. Then we come down here for more fire damage, burning damage stuff, life regen, max fire res here, which is pretty good. It allows us to push to 83% max fire res without a flask, kind of gross. Jewel sockets, some more life regen down here, and a whole bunch of life regen from Marauder start. Right, then we head over to Shaper, grab some life regen. I have 1 curse effect node here. I might eventually get these 2 for the last 20 or 15% curse effect, pretty strong. Jewel socket, LE overload, extra curse here, so we can go dual curse or triple curse if you have a +1 curse presence, which is really expensive and I don't have. Holy fire, lots of burning damage, a bunch of reduced aura reservation, mana reservation, sorry, and aura effect, which is really important. Some more ES, more jewel sockets, head through the Scion ES nodes, get another energy within to convert all of this to ES. Low life stuff, a bunch of ES nodes, more jewels, aura effect, and even more ES. And guess what? Some dot over here, some more spell damage for our Scorching Ray, and some more ES down here. So, jewels, you have a Watcher's Eye. This is really good. This 30% increased energy shield recovery rate is a more multiplier to your total ES regen. It does not show up in your tooltip, so this number is kind of hard to look at. It doesn't include this mod at all. It also doesn't include energy shield recovery on your Shaper belt. So you have 50% more before or after this number, which is pretty gross. You can also get energy shield bonus from your mana while affected by clarity. If you have a lot of mana, or if you build a mana stacking variant of that, you can get a ton of extra ES from that, but I'm basically just using the ES recovery rate while affected by Discipline mod. Okay, two Energy Withins, again, to convert this node, and then one over here to convert these 4 nodes. You definitely don't need this one, you can just use another rare jewel, it's totally up to you. As for rare jewels, things that scale Righteous Fire and Scorching Ray, damage over time, fire damage, burning damage, right? Those will scale both. Righteous Fire will only scale off of area damage, like only area damage scales Righteous Fire. As for Scorching Ray, spell damage while holding a shield, those only scale Scorching Ray. So it's kind of like you got to make a decision between the 2 types of mods. I would recommend you go for generic ones that scale both, like this one, for example, has 2 generic, 1 specific, and then this one has 2 generic, and then some resistances, which I don't need. I don't have perfect jewels. This one is perfect for RF, but not for Scorching Ray. That area damage does nothing. And this is double and resist again. So perfect jewel would be prefix fire damage, % energy shield, and then suffix would be burning damage, and then damage over time, or generic damage. Those 4 mods will scale both perfectly, but get whatever you need on jewels. I recommend ES plus some damage mods. So, gearing wise, you got a lot of options here. I'm using a Doriani's Catalyst. This is not the best in slot option. You can potentially get a lot more damage out of a rare scepter, but this gives me the, it's 132 plus 100% total, so 132% total elemental damage. Pretty good. Get some global crit, some attack speed so that we move faster, and some cast speed for our Scorching Ray. So we do use shield charge to move around. That attack speed is kind of nice. But the important thing here is that I am getting 0.2% of elemental damage leached as life, which sounds incredibly useless, but since we can now use Righteous Fire for like bursting down bosses or hard rares or whatever, the issue with this as a low life character is it puts you at 1 life. When you have 1 life, your Righteous Fire turns off. So this 0.2 leech here, our Orb of Storms does enough damage to leech us back to full. So as long as you're in a pack with Orb of Storms down and you activate Righteous Fire, you'll have enough life to turn Righteous Fire back on. So you can use both at the same time. It's kind of dumb, kind of gimmicky, but it works. Helmet. You're just going to go for, actually I should just talk over uniques first, huh? So required uniques, you need Shavs. Shavs is just required. You don't need a 6 link, you can go with a 4 link. Get as much ES as possible as you can. After that, you get the Doriani's. Lots of extra damage. After that, try to get a Presence of Sheila. This is not needed, but it gives you cannot be stunned and a bunch of ES and a huge amount of chaos res. I have 0% chaos res, which is just stupid from 1 item. It's really good. The rest of your gear is rares. So rare helmet, as much ES as possible. If you can get intelligence on it, great. It gives you more ES, but just go for ES plus resist and then int on top if you need it. Shield, same thing. ES resist. If you can get int, great. If you can get a reduced dot shield, great. You can also use a Rise of the Phoenix if you're struggling with the fire res to stay sustained, then go for that. I don't actually need any gear to sustain my okay, I need Purity of Fire, I'm sorry. I don't need like the legacy mods to sustain. I can sustain RF with just Purity of Fire, which is kind of good, right? Just that is enough to keep me. Actually, do I need the Purity? No, I don't need the Purity. So it's not like legacy gear is required to sustain it. You just need to have all your tree figured out and then reduce dot somewhere. Or sorry, not reduce dot. The max fire res point, right? That's all you need. I don't need the Purity. I don't need the reduced dot here. I can sustain RF with just Vitality. That's it. So don't worry about the legacy gear, right? It doesn't matter. It's just an extra bonus. Let's see, rings. Go for unset rings so you can have extra slots for your auras. Try to get +2 or +3 unsets so that you can get your Purity of Fire to level 23. That is the breakpoint to achieve an additional max res. So you need level 21 plus level 2, or you need a level 20 +3 unset ring. Totally up to you. Whichever one works, right? Other than that, go for ES resist, intelligence again if you need it, or dex if you need it. My other ring, same thing. ES resist, plus some int, and then I have cold damage to attacks. You will want cold or lightning damage to attacks on either your rings or your gloves. Doesn't matter which slot. Just get one of those somewhere so that your shield charge has a little bit of extra damage on it to proc your equilibrium correctly. Boots. ES, movement speed, resist, intelligence. Pretty simple stuff. Gloves, same thing. ES, resist, and intelligence if you can get it. Dex if you need it. Attack speed is great. If you can use insanity gloves, great. If you want to use delirium style gloves to get the 30% more dot, you can put your RF down there, or sorry, your scorching ray down there. You could also use an Essence of Horror helmet for the 30% more dot. If you want to get an Elder helmet that has conk effect burning damage plus 30% more elemental damage from an Essence of Horror, you can put your Righteous Fire there. Totally up to you. As for the belt, go for a shaped belt. Make sure you get this energy shield recovery rate modifier. Again, more multiplier to your overall regen. And other than that, just get a bunch of ES resist, right? Jewels, if you don't have a shaped Stygian, try to get a jewel like this and put it in your tree somewhere. So you're going to want ES, dot while holding a shield, onslaught on kill. Onslaught on kill is huge for clear speed. It's 20% attack, cast, and movement speed. It's really, really nice. And then after that, damage if you killed recently, sure, or intelligence or resist or whatever else you can get. It doesn't matter too much. Other enchantments, glove enchant, commandment of light when you take a crit. This is a really, really broken enchant. It gives you 6% life regen when you take a crit, which is just dumb. It's a lot, so try to get that. If you get a spike damage hit, then you just start regenning even higher, which is nice. Boot enchant, regen if you've been hit recently. If you're struggling to maintain LE overload, you can get the increased crit if you haven't crit recently modifier, but you shouldn't need it with Orbital Storms. It hits pretty fast and it has increased crit, so it shouldn't be a problem. Helm enchant, go for either Righteous Fire damage or Scorching Ray damage. I don't have either of those enchants because I'm lazy, but it's not really needed. It's just an on-top bonus type thing. And then we get into gem links next, right? So main 6-link. There's two ways to do this. Either you do a 6-link Scorching Ray or you do a 6-link Righteous Fire. I opted for the 6-link Righteous Fire because I don't want to have to rely on keeping 8 stacks of Scorching Ray damage on everything that I want to kill, because it applies damage per stack, right? So you have to sit still and like burn them for a while before you can even get them to max stacks. So it is slightly higher DPS to do it that way, but you have less overall sustained DPS because you have to stack all the time, which is kind of annoying. So I have a 6-link Righteous Fire setup. Righteous Fire is linked to Elemental Focus, increased AoE, and Arcane. Wow, hang on, let me do this in the right order. Righteous Fire, Elemental Focus, Burning Damage, increased AoE. That's your 4-link. You swap in Conk Effect for AoE for bosses, and then if you have the 5 and 6-link, you can link it to Arcane Surge, which gives it a duration tag, so then you can link it to Swift Affliction. If you don't have the 5 and 6-link, don't use either of these, just like use the 4-link and you'll be fine. You don't honestly need these, it's just a lot of extra damage. Scorching Ray links. Scorching Ray, Burning Damage, Elemental Focus, and Efficacy. This gives you just a bunch of more multipliers and damage, and this makes it last longer, so it's easier to maintain max stacks or to maintain the reduced fire resistance from Scorching Ray. Then we have the shield charge links. We got shield charge, faster attacks fortify. Just like every other movement speed skill, you want to attack faster and you get that less damage taken from fortify. Great. Orbital Storms is linked to curse on hit flammability. This gives them negative fire res, so they take more deeps. Try to get quality on your curse on hit and quality on your flammability so that they just take more damage, right? And then link that to increase crits. If you have a +1 curse, Presence of Chula, you can put Elemental Weakness here, and you'll have even more negative fire res, which is great, but you don't need it. Aura setup. I got Purity of Lightning, Purity of Ice, and an Enlightened level 4 on Blood Magic. These are my only life aura reservations, so those two put me at like 98% reservation or something, which is great. And then I have a Discipline and a Vitality and a Purity of Fire, not linked to anything. I guess this one's linked to an Empower basically, but those give you all your other auras. Then I have a Flame Dash to get up and down ledges, and a Portal Gem to get in and out of maps. So it's pretty simple there. As for the Pantheons, I go for Maxed Solaris. This gives you reduced elemental damage taken if you haven't been hit recently. That helps you sustain Righteous Fire while running through packs. You have a chance to avoid ailments from crits, so you don't get shocked, burned, or shocked, ignited, or frozen as much. You also get no extra damage from crits if you've taken a crit recently. So when you take that spike crit from something, say you're being hit by a wave of, I don't know, Tentacle Spitters or something, your Glove Enchant's going to proc, so you get that extra regen. You're also going to stop taking damage from crits, so it's just extra damage, so you just don't die there. It's pretty good. And then you get the reduced area damage from hits chance and the reduced fizz damage taken, which is nice. And then I take Soul of Tukohama for when you're standing still. You get fizz damage mitigation because whenever we stop to use Scorching Ray, we're standing still for a couple seconds. And then you get life regen while standing still as well, up to a maximum of 2%. Great. If you don't want that one, you can go for a Growth Coal for the fizz mitigation if you've been hit recently, and Arabics for reduced attack speed. Flasks. So we are dual curse, right? So we have one here, flammability, and then I have a Richfire Brew. This gives you Despair Curse Aura. Despair makes enemies take increased damage over time. The flask itself also gives you damage over time, so that's good. Then you get a Movement Speed Flask, a Ruby's Concoction for the spell block, a Sulfur Flask, and a Ruby Flask. So these can have bleed or freeze on either one, it doesn't matter. But Sulfur Flask gives you 40% increased damage all the time, and then it gives you Consecrated Ground as well, which gives us even more ES regen, which is just kind of good overall, defensively and offensively. And then we have a Ruby Flask. Because we're burning for Righteous Fire, this gives us max fire res, which means that we get to actually access more of our energy shield regen. Since we are taking less damage from RF, we're getting more actual life regen, right? It's a good setup right here. If you don't want to use the Ruby's Concoction, you don't want to worry about the block stuff, you can just put a Taste of Hate here. You could put a Sapphire Flask here, you could put a Basalt Flask here. It really doesn't matter. This is just something that I like to use because I like just taking damage or not taking damage, right? And then as for when I'm doing Uber Elder, I swap in another Freeze Flask and another Freeze Flask. So I have 3 separate freeze removal flasks so that I don't die to the Shaper Suck, or sorry, to the Elder Suck while I'm trying to dodge the Shaper Balls, right? So I believe that's everything. If I missed anything, let me know. The forum guide is linked below if you just want to look at all the stuff in one place without having to look through this entire guide again. Feel free. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like. Let me know what builds you want to see updated next, or what kind of builds you want to see me make in the comments below. And if you want to check out my merch or my Patreon and help support the channel, those are linked in the description as well. I will see you guys in the next video, and that'll be me out.